Hey friends, Gene Perry here with the Free Hands Academy. Today is Friday, November 8th, 2024, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about Bach's Bourree in E minor. We're going to do an intro to the piece. We're going to talk about various different tunings, and we're not going to get hung up on that too much. We'll kind of go over some strategies to work through any tunings that you might be using, regardless of whether it's a 10 or a 12 string instrument. So do a little intro, and then we'll talk about tunings, and then we'll head over to the perch and we'll get into it. So a quick intro. The Bourree in E minor is the fifth movement of Johann Sebastian Bach's Suite in E minor, BWV 996. Traditionally, guitarists love this work as many of the inner voicings are easily realized using open strings with the natural tuning of the guitar, in which E minor and G major play nicely. It's in binary form and follows a simple AAB arrangement. The piece is played as an allegretto with the tempo somewhere between 98 and 109 beats per minute. Bourrees were a type of French dance, although this piece was not intended to be danced to. You can dance if you want to. Bach was known to incorporate styles of the day from France and Italy into his work, and this piece was no exception. You can hear Jethro Tull playing a swinging version of this in their version of Bourree, which actually has a bass solo, so perhaps it's not just for guitarists. Bassists can dig this too. Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin would whip this out during extended solo sections, and even Tenacious D did a little bit around this piece, adding to the majesty and mystique of its legacy. The song was played in space. Check the wiki to read all about it. It is believed to have been written for the Lautenwerk. The Lautenwerk, which is me trying to sound German, was an instrument that was similar to the harpsichord, but was strung with gut strings instead of steel strings. And the sound of the instrument would have been similar to an acoustic nylon string guitar, but played on a keyboard. So not a bad model for a Chapman stick player to start with. Bach liked writing for this instrument, although it seems no original Lautenwerks from the period have survived. It seemed that this specialty instrument would have been right at home, in Bach's home, as well as he was versed in the organ and harpsichord and most likely enjoyed the variation in tone. He was also quite the violist, although it may have been a viola da gamba, but that's another story altogether. He played a number of instruments, and if you've made it this far in the video, as a stickist, you probably do too. Like and subscribe below. So observations on tuning. I use a full baritone tuning, and while that might not be the most common tuning, it was certainly one that Emmett enjoyed. You can ask Grace all about that. It's very similar to the Raised Matched Reciprocal. So the full baritone tuning means that the lowest fretted note in the left hand is up a step on the bass side for my uncrossed tappers. This is a full step up from the standard in the matched reciprocal tuning of C. The right hand or melody side is tuned C sharp, F sharp, B, E, A in contrast to the classic F sharp, B, E, A, D on a 10-string classic Chapman stick. If you're using a baritone melody or matched reciprocal tuning, you should be able to adjust the left hand up a full step and use what I'm playing in the right hand. If you're using a 10-string raised matched reciprocal, I would recommend simply playing the piece in A so that you can keep the same form and fret position in the right hand and make minor adjustments in the left hand up a fourth to accommodate transposing the piece in A. We can try that in a little bit when I step over to the perch. So the piece should be a natural extension of your repertoire. It is immediately recognizable, and the intricacies of the piece are made easier with the fifth tuning in the left hand. And because of the more steady approach in the bass line, I found less opportunities to add harmonies in the left hand in contrast with other minuets, but there's always time to expand and learn more about this piece. In this session, we're going to look at the first 8 measures of the piece and talk through some of the strategies that Greg Howard outlined in his book, Tapping into Bach. I hope to feature more pieces in this booklet, as he and I had many discussions about it in advance of its release. So tune up and get ready to amaze and impress your classical and progressive rock fans with your knowledge of 18th century music as we play through Bach's Bourree in E minor. Okay, so let's take a quick look at how Greg would approach the right hand since we use the same tuning. He's going to anchor his right hand here at the 12th and the 15th fret. And he's going to stay within that kind of range, except when he has to hit that D sharp. When we have to hit that D sharp, we're going to extend out just a little bit further. So let me show you what that looks like. Right, sending minor. It's the third. So moving to ascending melodic major, and right back to minor. End with the root. So one more time. Now the way that I play it in the baritone is the full baritone is I have to use a pivot, right? And that's the way that I play it because of the positioning of the baritone, the full baritone tuning, right? So I can't be starting up here. I need to be starting here. Now, truthfully, you can just sustain that last G. You don't have to hit that full triad right there. It's a bit challenging, but that's the way Greg has it written. So I also noticed the way that Greg's got it written here is that he's playing most of it on the 7th fret. So he uses this 3-fingered strategy in the left hand, which just really makes great sense because from a physiological standpoint, it just doesn't make sense to use the pinky. You can move more quickly just using a more calculated approach in the left hand with 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 3, 2 variations thereof. I could try to show you that right now, but I'm going to kind of stay on topic, So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the left hand, how I'm playing the left hand. And so then we walk up. Then we walk up. C, right, up to the relative major, E minor, which is G major. So when we put those together, just like one measure at a time, easy enough. So relative to whichever instrument you're playing, whether it's a 10 or a 12-string instrument, and regardless of your tuning, I'd like to hear from you. If you're getting hung up on anything or there's something that's bugging you, just let me know. I use kind of a different strategy than Greg does. His is really going to be much more solid and much more methodic when you're using the baritone melody tuning. It makes good sense. So I'm kind of accommodating that for the baritone melody as best I can. So if you've made it this far in the video, thanks so much for watching. Like I said, let me know if you've got questions or comments. I'd be so curious to hear how you're playing this, or if you want to hear another piece by Bach, let me know. I've got a few queued up that I want to look at, especially coming out of Greg's book here. So thanks so much for making it this far, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.